So what if I told you that finding your style is actually really simple? Well, more simple than you may think. Just like you and everyone else who decided that picking up a camera every day and learning editing from scratch was a good idea, I struggled a lot to find my style. And don't get me wrong, I still probably wouldn't say that I'm there yet. Although I definitely have a pretty good idea of how it goes. As a matter of fact, my old photos looked a little bit like this. Listen, we all have things we're not proud of. What I didn't know though is that photography is in no way a linear process. I mean, there's no such thing as a one-stop solution to finding your style, whether it's in the camera itself or in editing. But that also doesn't mean that it's as complicated as a lot of people make it out to be. My favorite way to put this process into words is actually the same kind of advice given to most young chefs, and that is to be a sponge. Well, don't literally turn into a sponge, that would probably suck, but basically take on the philosophy of one, if that makes sense. Now, before you go and do anything, I'm definitely not saying that you should completely copy other people and how they create their photos, but instead try to incorporate aspects of other photographers' work and put them into your own. By doing this, you'll very quickly get a feel for what you like and well, what you don't. Now, a huge part of how photographers constantly improve their skills is because styles don't completely stay still, because even when you start getting paid or having your photos published somewhere, you'll notice that your preferences for how you create your images will still continue to change. Now, it's probably going to be very gradual, or I mean, who am I to say, but there will still be consistent changes. Now that's actually a really good thing. Just like in my analogy before, a dish is altered tens or even hundreds or God knows how many times before somebody calls it perfect. Creating images works the same way. One day maybe you'll hyper-focus on super sharp teal and orange images, but a month or two later maybe you'll go for a colder and softer style with maybe some grain incorporated into the mix. Also, another thing I feel like people really underutilize is looking around a little more when you're watching your favorite films, which of course is really simple. You have to remember the people behind these productions are pretty damn good at what they do. I mean, take a look at Wes Anderson. He's pretty well known for his almost retro looking style in the industry. His style is very centered around warmer tones like orange, yellow, or red, which of course creates a very specific feeling while viewing his work. Now of course that's just an example. Look around and see what speaks to you specifically. You'll actually notice that inspiration is quite a big theme in this video. Now wait, because this is the part where most people quit and assume that their art has plateaued. You know, because of the inconsistency of the Instagram profile or whatever. And suddenly it feels like you've hit a wall. And you kinda have. I'm just kidding, relax. You have, however, entered the stage where your style becomes, well, just that. Your style. Now, contrary to popular belief, as I mentioned before, nobody's style actually stays the same forever. Take a look at your favorite creators, and even though they're so great at what they do, their style is actually forever evolving and changing. And funnily enough, that's exactly what makes them so great. An artist who stays in one place for too long ends up either getting bored or forgetting why they started in the first place. Of course, once you reach a certain point, those changes don't tend to be super noticeable or huge. They more so end up just being finer tweaks, just like I mentioned before. And thanks to what I said about being a sponge, you can now, or soon will be able to, understand exactly what makes some images just so captivating compared to some that just don't have that same feeling to them. Yeah, like that. All in all, it's just like drawing or many other art mediums. You have to start out by using reference and a whole lot of inspiration to eventually branch out and maybe even eventually become the person that somebody uses as their reference or inspiration. So now you might be thinking, does that mean that there's no such thing as a style? If it all just changes constantly anyway? Well, yes and no. In reality, your style will be more of a permanent groundwork for all of your images and maybe even videos. The rest comes down to experimentation, really. But of course, none of that matters if you stay here instead of going out and creating your own crazy images. So get out there and maybe try something new this time. See ya.